So, my fiance, male 33, comes from a well-off family. I, female 29, come from a working class family. My fiance's family is nice, but they can't help throwing comments at me about how I might be a gold digger. For example, if he buys me something, they'll go, "Oh, Jason bought you that? You know what this looks like, right?" Or, "Wait, Jason paid for this?" Of course, only gold diggers make their partners pay for stuff all the time. Just saying. It's so demeaning, and my fiance does nothing to stop it, especially now that he's in a bad place after losing his job, and since he's keeping it a secret, then I'm the one paying for everything. This has been going on for 4 months. Last week his parents invited us to dinner, and he insisted that we go, so we went. At the dinner table, his mom grabbed my hand, literally while I was eating, and looked at my bracelet and went, "Oh, this bracelet looks really nice. Did Jason pay for it?" I nodded and reminded her that he bought it for me as a birthday gift last year. She was like, wonder how much it cost. She then leaned back and said, "You know, I remember when my brother was dating this gold digger woman, she'd receive expensive stuff like this," pointing at the bracelet, "for her birthdays." I was stunned. I cut her off and asked if she meant to say that I was a gold digger. She threw her hands up and went, "I mean, if the shoe fits," while laughing awkwardly. Silence took over. I looked at my fiance and he shook his head at me like, "What?" I snapped. I told her it was bold of her to imply I was a gold digger when I was providing for her unemployed son, who has been for 4 months now. They all looked shocked. She glanced at me in shock, and his dad asked if it was true, and my fiance just froze but looked so angry. An argument ensued. Dinner was cut short, and we had to leave after they started criticizing him. He had a rage fit in the car, just yelling and lashing at me. In my defense, I said that he sat by and let his mom continually imply that I was a gold digger, but he said that they never outright called me a gold digger, so it was all in my head. He said I still had no right to take advantage of his unfortunate circumstance to get back at his mom and expose him to his family. His parents went on about how disappointed they were, and now as a result, he got disinvited from Thanksgiving. He blew up at me because of it this morning and kept saying that I screwed him over so badly when he was just an innocent bystander. So, am I the idiot for telling my fiance's family that he's unemployed? Not the idiot. You should uninvite your fiance from your wedding. He doesn't have your back, but he's willing to lie to his family for months to protect his reputation. He's going to be willing to lie to you too, and this won't be the last time he blames you for the faults and actions of himself and others. Seriously, don't walk down that aisle. He's more than willing to have you be the bad guy, and not once has he tried to fix their perspective of you. Instead, he keeps it that way because it makes him seem better than you. If you have a baby with him, guess what? You're the gold digger that baby trapped him. Do you want to listen to that? Nah, that's too rash. Instead, OP needs to tell the family that she is a gold digger because that's what her son likes to call his intimacy partner. That'll shut them up. And it might be less embarrassing for that family than having one of those worthless unemployed people in the family. Gross. Shudders. Why don't they just get a job? Seriously, do you want to marry into that? You deserve better. An innocent bystander? LOL. Bystander, most certainly, but more impotent than innocent. This guy was happy to watch his family be cruel to you for months without challenging it or sticking up for you when he knew that you were the breadwinner. Then he doubled down and made it all your fault when you called him out on it. The part where you describe his rage fit is scary, to be honest. OP, he is not in your corner and has no spine. He will allow his family to treat you like crap and teach your kids that you're unworthy of respect and dignity. I'd toss him before he makes your life a misery. We used to spend Christmas with mother-in-law. Apparently, every year, she would wake up, do breakfast and presents with her husband, be in a great mood, and then at exactly 12 p.m., she would burst into tears and cry until we arrived, so about 2 hours while she was cooking. We did not know this. So one year, her husband decided to experiment, and he messed with the clock. Mother-in-law never cried, and when we showed up, she was still in pajamas. Dinner was not ready, and her husband used this as evidence that she was looking at the clock and crying on command. Mother-in-law whines about how being around us on holidays upset her. We have so many issues, it's such a chore, etc. I told her fine, and we would never do another holiday if that's how she felt. At this point, my husband seemed to feel bad and tried to backtrack, but mother-in-law told him she was cool with it and liked just being with him. The more I thought about it, the more hurt I was. And now my husband is sulking and being distant. In mother-in-law's defense, she doesn't really care and hasn't pushed it. She is allowed to meet the baby, which she knows, and she doesn't even like most of the people attending, my family and friends, so I'm standing firm. I also don't want to see her husband, as he acts like it was just some experiment and not a big deal. Edit. I brought stuff for some years and she never ate it. You are the idiot. So your mother-in-law put a ton of effort in every year to make y'all feel welcome until she finally realized that the pressure was making her miserable and admitted that she just didn't enjoy doing it. You decided that her unwillingness to stress herself out and make herself miserable every year on Christmas warranted a permanent ban from all family events ever? Grow up. This is ridiculous. People should be allowed not to feel like they have to play host every single year. They should be allowed to enjoy their holidays. Your reaction was childish and over the top, especially considering the event in question is one you're planning to have anyway, not some special effort you're making just for your mother-in-law. Not the idiot. Your mother-in-law doesn't give two craps about you and your husband. This is about your husband, who desperately wants his mother to be interested and is hoping that this baby will open his mother's eyes and make more effort because he was hurt about Christmas. She hurt you both, and understandably, you put up boundaries to protect yourself from being hurt by her. However, your husband's stance on boundaries softened because of the baby, and as much as he knows how his mom is, he wants his mom to have a certain level of relationship with his kid, as he envisioned. Everyone's the idiot here. Mother-in-law sucks because she didn't use her words to say that hosting Christmas was overwhelming for her when she really just wanted to spend it with her husband and crying on time. Her husband, rather than trying to figure out and help mother-in-law find the words, played a mean trick on her. So he sucks too. You had the opportunity to be the hero in this scenario, but you weren't. You decided it was time for revenge, and if she was going to slight you, you would get even and ban her from your house. Now you have a child, and she's the grandmother, and you still want her banned, putting your husband between a rock and a hard place. Kinda surprised you and mother-in-law don't get along better, based on how similar you seem to be. I, male 34, recently bought a one-story house. Note that it was purchased solely by me. My wife didn't help save for it. I started saving for it before I even met her, and it's in my name. When my parents threw us a party for this happy occasion, Mom asked for a copy of the key in case of an emergency. I let her have it, which made my wife upset. She didn't say anything at the time, but she waited till we were alone and started arguing with me, saying I shouldn't have let my mother have a copy of the key. I said why, since my mother's known to respect privacy and is a very trusted family member. She said that she doesn't feel comfortable with the idea of someone else who's not a resident having a copy of the key. She also mentioned that my mother didn't pay a penny towards the house, so this should disqualify her from getting the key. I said it's not that big a deal, but she persisted, saying I needed to take the key back. Quite frankly, this had me fuming. I pointed out that I'm the one who bought the house, and it's my decision to decide who gets to have a copy of the key. End of story. She screamed at me, saying that technically, she contributed towards the house savings when she used to pay for our rent and daily expenses while I saved money. I told her that she was acting as if I put my mom's name on the title, which is ridiculous. But she said I have no respect for her opinions and I keep undermining her input. We've been going back and forth on it since then. She's now letting me know that if I don't take the key back, then she'll do it herself. I think she's being irrational and unreasonable, acting like that over a copy of the house key. This decision I made could save us in an emergency, but she kept downplaying it. It's crucial to mention that there is no conflict between my mother and my wife. They're on near perfect terms, all right? I thought that I'd already established that above. You are the idiot. If you saved by letting your wife pay for rent and expenses, then you did not save. You freeloaded off your wife so that you could buy a house in your own name. That's not fair to your wife. How about for the next few years, you pay all mortgage and expenses so she can put all her money in savings and buy her own house? Yep, OP, you are the idiot. Big time. This should read, my wife supported me financially and paid our rent and expenses so I could put all my money toward our house. Instead, I bought the house, denied her any rights to it because her supporting me doesn't matter, and now I'm giving away keys to her home, even though she isn't comfortable with it. Is anybody thinking of making financial sacrifices to enable their partner to buy a home in their name only? Then read this story and think again. You are the idiot for leeching off of your wife and giving her no rights to the home she enabled you to save for. Do you even like her? Wondering this too, his actions seem to show that he doesn't like her or love her. I hope she finds someone else, that poor woman. OP, your attitude of, I paid for it isn't on. You're married. It's our home, not my home now. In any case, your wife is right. She absolutely has financially contributed to the property. She paid the rent, which allowed you to save. Pretty disgusting of you to dismiss this. Your mother having a key to your home is a big deal, and something you and your wife need to be comfortable with. If you aren't mature enough to make joint decisions with your wife, you shouldn't be married. Your wife is right. You don't respect her at all. A huge red flag is that you only put the house in your name. You've basically used your wife to enable you to do what you want. I, 30 female, have been with my husband, 29, for 5 years. We share 2 kids, a tween and a preschooler together. He works away for 2 weeks and is home on days off for 2 weeks. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and we share income. While he's at home, he expects me to cook him a large breakfast, eggs and meat or something more extravagant, every single morning, in addition to getting the kids and myself ready for school and the day. I told him it overwhelms me a lot, and it's too much when I have to get the kids ready too. His solution was for me to wake up earlier, but I told him that I didn't enjoy it. He thinks that this is just part of my job, so I told him I wasn't cooking breakfast for him anymore, and he told me that he wouldn't pay for my gym membership anymore. I think that's very unfair. It would help me if he learns how to cook his breakfast. I offered to show him how, or suggested watching YouTube videos. He refused. I also told him I would still cook on weekends or when the kids don't have school. I just don't understand why I'm fully responsible for his breakfast when he can cook it on his own. I'm sorry this is so silly, but am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Honey, he has 2 weeks off every month. Call your parents or a friend and book yourself a family trip or a girls' trip while hubby stays at home with the kids for 2 weeks. If he still insists on you making him breakfast, get a divorce. Life's too short to live with an idiot like him. Agreed. The man is almost 30 years old. If he can't cook his breakfast, that's a problem he needs to work on. You aren't his mother. There's no reason he can't make his own breakfast. Sounds like the start of financial abuse. If he wants to pull that card, don't feel bad packing your bags and leaving. Let him take care of all this crap alone. If you share the income, he doesn't pay for your membership. You guys pay for your membership. I was going to say that OP ought to go and get a job, have her own income. She can probably find someone to watch the kids during the day, maybe part-time. Once she has enough money, she can afford daycare if need be. But regardless, she needs to have some financial independence because I see divorce clouds on the horizon. I, female 33, have known my daughter-in-law, Layla, 26 female, for over 20 years. She lived in the same neighborhood and went to the same school as my son, Sam, 27, where they became friends. They've been together for about 6 years and married for 2. Layla's currently 6 months pregnant with my first grandchild. At some point in her life, Layla had a traumatic experience involving food, which caused her to eat only 3 to 4 things for a long time, and she was diagnosed with an eating disorder. With Sam, she managed to expand her menu and is less scared to try new things. Typically, when Layla tries a new food and likes it, Sam celebrates it. We had a pre-Thanksgiving dinner this weekend, as Layla and Sam were planning to have a small holiday with Layla's aunt in Greece. We get talking, and I ask how they're doing and if they have any news, hoping they'll share something about my grandchild. Instead, Layla started talking about how she tried onion in that very nice Greek restaurant for the first time in years, and how much she enjoyed the taste. I stopped her halfway there and said I don't think that trying an onion is an achievement, and wanted to hear how my grandchild is doing, and if they know the gender yet. Layla got really quiet, and Sam told my husband and me they would be leaving. I've asked what is wrong, and Sam had a go at me, saying that I'm being a massive idiot for not caring about Layla and her happiness, for putting her down and making her feel like an incubator for my grandbabies, and for her, eating new food is an achievement due to an extremely traumatic past. He also said he's not sure if he wants to let me have access to my grandchild due to how I've treated the future mother. My husband agrees and doesn't see what I did wrong, but the rest of my kids are furious with me and tell me I should shut my mouth. Am I the idiot for telling Layla that trying and eating an onion is not an achievement, and that I want to hear about my first grandchild's well-being instead? You are the idiot. You spend a lot of time explaining why, for Layla, eating an onion is in fact a huge achievement, and then you dismiss it. Your son is right. You're treating her like an incubator, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go no contact. Lady, have some compassion. You could have said, "That's great. I'm so glad you're overcoming your previous issues. And how's the pregnancy going?" If you don't know the difference, you're probably a narcissistic idiot in everything you do. This is a human being in front of you, one you've known for 20 years and should have some feelings for. She's pregnant with her or their first child. That child is also your grandchild. But do you understand that other people matter too? At least pretend, or you can expect no relationship with that grandchild or others. Layla is not pregnant with your grandchild. She's pregnant with her child. The fact that you gatekeep what people consider news is very telling about who you are as a person. You don't care about your daughter-in-law's health and clear success in trying other foods. You just care about her baby that you, I'm sure, think is your do-over baby. No, it's not. And I'm so glad your son saw you for who you are and supports his wife accordingly. If they limit your access to their child, it will be deserved.